You should first consider fallback, uptime of your agents. You should have the observability so you can read every request, every agent sessions, workflows. And then the last part is evals. Once you have understand what is your customer's interaction with your agents, you can then have the very clear insights of how I should evaluate my AI agents.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Agents Hour. We do have a guest today. We have Hendrix from Respan AI. Formerly was known as Keywords. I think we met them back when we were in YC. Known them for quite a bit. Been seeing them from the sidelines. Excited to talk with them about some of the things that they've been shipping over there and learn a little bit from Hendrix.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Shane. Hey, Abhi.
Hey, Hendrix.
Hey, Hendrix.
Welcome to Agents Hour. I guess as a start, can you tell people a little bit about Respan and some of the stuff that you're working on over there?
Yeah, I'm Hendrix, co-founder of Respan. And Respan is a one-stop LLM engineering platform. So an AI gateway where traffic routes through and observability on every call, evaluations on real production traffic, and prompt optimization on top. So we helped over hundreds of AI teams to do observability and evals like AlphaSense, Retell AI, DataCurve, and Mem0.
Can you tell me a little bit about the gateway? You've always had observability. That was a big part of what Keywords and then Respan became. But I am curious, I saw an announcement, it's been a while back now, I don't know how long, but about the gateway. And tell me a little bit more. So it's an AI gateway with observability baked in?
Actually, Gateway was our first product. We got accepted into YC with that gateway. We were building an intelligent router in 2023, and we want to sell that router to our batchmates. And all of them don't want to use that router, just think LLM is already a black box for them. So they don't want to add another layer of the black box. They just want to know what is going on the hood. Could you tell me why my AI agent is failing? So we kind of soft pivot to the observability and evals part, and we keep router, the gateway, as one integration method until 2026. We find out that gateway is a very interesting idea because there's a lot of models, a lot of providers in this space, and there's no any AI teams using one single provider to build their AI agents.
That's awesome. So you were actually way ahead of the curve because now everyone's shipping these smart routers around. Like,
yeah,
send this task, this agent, this mixture of models approach where it's like you have a router that decides and sends different tasks, different routers. So that's kind of cool that you were early. You had to put it aside because you were maybe too early, and now you're coming back to it.
Yeah, in 2023, the router is basically for people to save cost. So there's only GPT 3.5 and GPT-4, and GPT-4 is super expensive. So we pitch our batchmates, you don't want to spend like $20 to answer what is 1 + 1. So we help you to route to a cheaper model to answer that kind of questions.
Yeah, now there's thousands of models.
And people are starting to care way more about cost. I feel like last year tokens were flowing freely, and now people are starting to realize, okay, I need to have some token budgets. I need to know what I'm paying and need to make sure that I'm getting value from the tokens that I'm spending.
So how was the journey with, observability, having intended to do a gateway, then kind of pivoting in the interim to do observability, and then the whole industry was, let's say observability maximalists. Then they all hated evals. So it must have been quite a journey for you guys. Why don't you kind of give us the story there?
Yeah, I think this space is quite competitive, and there's a lot of also other companies are doing observability and evals. We do think our strength is we are the only or the first one-stop all-in-one platform for gateway, observability, evals, and prompt optimization. And we just want to use the gateway as the entry point for engineers. So we can't raise any money from demo day in YC. So we bootstrapped for over 2 years to just build the product, sell to customers, and hear the feedback from our customers and trying to get traction and increase the revenue. So it's pretty amazing. The journey just teaches us a lot. And then I think for now we have the better vision of what is the right way to help engineers to ship AI agents.
So y'all were like what does YC tell us? Is it cockroach mode after demo day?
Yeah.
So y'all were in cockroach mode, just slanging to, you have a crazy customer list. What was like that turning point for a lot of the customers that were like, no, let's go with you guys?
Yeah, I think it's around a year after our demo day, around summer of 2025. At that time, we just finally think our product is in the tier 1 list of this space. And then we got a really great reputation in YC community. So we work with a lot of YC founders, and we do very great customer support. We respond every message in 2 minutes. And even though it's in the midnight, we had very loud Slack notification to us so we can hear any message, and then we got reply to them. So we got very great reputation, and we solve every feature request, every support ticket very fast. So that's how we got our first batch of customers. And then we got more customers from our first batch customers by word of mouth.
Nice. So I know that you've been obviously have a big customer list now. A lot of people are sending traffic through the gateway and through the observability product. I'm assuming you've noticed some patterns in things that you've seen teams that are building agents. We have an audience of people that are trying to build agents of their own. Are there any patterns you've seen, any takeaways that you think would be interesting to folks that are tuning in?
Yeah, I think, for most of AI teams or AI engineers, their pain point is they have a lot of failures when building AI agents or when AI agents is in production. And we categorize those kind of failures to 3 categories. The first one is silent failure, which is you can't be notified when something is going wrong. For example, you shipped a new prompt version this weekend, and you can't tell if this is better than the last version, or you can't tell until a customer complain to you. And the second one is reliability issue. So you can't guarantee the provider's reliability. Maybe OpenAI is down and your product is also down. And the third category is the cost issue. So for some of our customers, maybe they have the runaway agents, and their agents get stuck just retrying, and then they got a very huge bill without any notification. So there's 3 kind of the failure modes we faced.
Are there techniques? Is it just like good monitoring, good notifications and observability on some of that stuff? Like, what are techniques that people could actually use to handle some of those failure modes? I think everyone's experienced Anthropic being down quite a bit, and so I know that that's a failure mode a lot of people are familiar with for sure.
Yeah. So for reliability failure, it's the easiest one to solve. If you are using our gateway, we provide fallback alerting, so you can get notified once the model is down, and you can set up fallback configuration. So your traffic will route to another model, another provider, maybe OpenAI or Gemini automatically. So your production is always on. And for silent failure is the tricky one. The only solution for that we have saw that is first you have to test every version of your prompts or your agents or your tool use very carefully before you push it to production. And then you should set up online monitoring or online evals. So the AI evaluators auto read all of your sampling of your production traces, and then it auto detect every kind of issues like hallucination or inaccuracy, and then it will notify you when something is going wrong, when the error rate or the hallucination rate is going up, so you can easily fix. So fix is the easy part. Noticing is the difficult part.
One of the things I think a lot of people struggle with, or especially with how easy it is to ship code these days, or to at least create code. Maybe shipping code's still hard, but creating code is easier.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people struggle with the what should I build versus what should I buy? Like, should I use an eval provider? Should I own that whole part of the stack myself? Should I own part of the observability? Should I build my own gateway? We have people that are with Mastra that they have their own internal gateways with their larger teams, and then some smaller teams are also thinking they should have their own. So I'm curious, like, how do you think about, or how do you talk people through the build versus buy for like the LLM infra stack, right? Because you play a part of that.
Yeah, actually, an interesting thing is a big part of our current customers came from their in-house solution. So I would say for in-house observability and evals tool, it's very easy to build nowadays with the help from Cloud Code or Codex. And the hard part is maybe you can handle it when your skill is going up, or you just fail to catch some specific errors, or you have to spend a lot of time or build a dedicated engineering team to maintain this whole infrastructure and like metadata indexing at scale. So we always find out that when something is they can't capture that errors or that issues in some like late nights. It just came to us.
That's the best way to get customers, dude. Honestly.
I heard you also had a demo you want to show.
So I'll get started with our gateway. It's our latest features. And so we built this gateway and have been testing this gateway's reliability for over 2 years. And then we integrate all of the models in this space, and you can call every model and without integrates any packages from like Anthropic, OpenAI. And you can find models here. And if you go to each model, you can find a way to integrate it. And you can find all of the providers that provide this kind of this model. And then for the cost stuff, actually, this is a very important thing for most of AI teams. We built a very comprehensive limits page for our customers. You can control your spend in per key level or per model level, even in per customer level, because we think control your spend is very important. You don't want to have the like huge bill, like 100K bill in your next building cycle. So we build this cost limit, very detailed. And then it's the tracing, it's the observability part. You can have the full observability on your agents. You can see the tool calls, the everything. So it's very easy for you to evaluate your production traces or run your data sets. And next thing I want to share is our evaluators. This is the first like a scratch styled evaluators for
That's
AI
cool.
engineers. Yeah, because we find out that in this space, most of our competitors, they just provide a very simple LLM judge evaluators for AI teams. But when we chat with our customers, they actually want to do more complex and like some conditional logic for evaluating. So we build this scratch level, scratch style evaluators. So you can add the AI evaluators, or you can assign to any human reviewers. So it's very helpful. For example, this one is you can first run an AI evaluator, and when something is different, it will assign to a real human. So the engineers can go to the reviews to review those outliers, I would say. That's the demos I want to show because everything is pretty similar to the existing tools in the market. And Evals, Gateway, and Traces is one way differentiate with other providers.
I love that scratch for the evaluators. That makes so much sense.
And I think it's one of those things like you intuitively know exactly what it's doing. It's pretty easy logic, right? It's like easy conditional logic, but also I could see how there are times where just an LLM as a judge might not be, you could of course give it a skill or whatever and try to like use the prompt, but sometimes you just want a deterministic way to do some basic logic.
Yeah, exactly. It actually helps engineers save a lot of time to build this logic in code.
Definitely. When the big eval wars were happening in this last year, there were many like different forms of opinion. One is like off-the-shelf evals are not good, or you have to be writing your own evals, not necessarily all with judges or whatever. Now that your platforms are more mature, like what do you see works for the user? What is like my eval 101? How do I get good at evals using your product?
Yeah, I think for every customer I chat with, I would recommend them to first, you should make sure the reliability of your agents. So you should first consider about fallback, your uptime of your agents, and you should have the observability of your agents. So you can read every request, every agent sessions, workflows by yourselves. And then the last part is evals. Once you have understand what is your customer's interaction with your agents, you can then have the very clear insights of how I should evaluate my AI agents. So that's when you should assign this task to an AI to help you to evaluate. And then you have a very clear picture of which metric, how to write the rubric, how to define the logic.
It's very hard, right?
Yeah, it's very hard. It takes time. I would say it takes like few weeks to understand what exactly your eval should looks like.
Yeah, a lot of the people that we talk to, we tell them the very similar thing. We tell them like, hey, like you're gonna have to actually put in effort to build these things. You have to understand your data and your product, etc. But it seems like most people are just looking for a participation trophy where they could like, put something on their website that they have like a SOC 3, right? There's an AI SOC. So it's like, I have SOC 3, I'm good, but that doesn't mean anything because in a lot of sense, these bigger companies want compliance out of their evals, which is probably not the use case at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we are also considering to do assessment for our customers. So maybe we can run some tests on their agents and to show how their agent performs. And
Yeah.
then maybe they can just get it passed and get a certification like SOC 2, and then everyone's happy.
Yeah, and then their agents still suck, but at least they have the SOC,
Yeah,
SOC
they have the
3.
certification. Yeah.
Yeah, also, like, since y'all were keywords, like, obviously we've had observability integration from the beginning. The platform has grown a lot, man. Congrats. This is super cool, and I'm super happy
Thanks.
for all the success since.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, we have the integration with Mastra. So yeah, we have some customers using Mastra with us. So yeah, happy to see that collaboration.
YC people got to stick together.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Hendrix. We appreciate you coming on the show. Respan.ai. You can follow Hendrix on X as well. Hendrix Liu 29208. Yeah, anything else you want to say before we just close up here?
Yeah, just super happy to join this live stream. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for showing us the product. Thanks for talking about observability, evals, gateways, problems with the agents in production, all that. So great having you on, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
Would you like to be a guest on the show? Visit mastra.ai/guest. Do you have a hot take, a problem you cracked, a cool product, or a demo worth watching? Share them right here on Agents Hour.